Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Raptors and TRXs and selling both of them. No, this is not clickbait, but before we get into the video, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below, and let's just get right into it. I've noticed that a lot of people that watch this channel seem to think that I own way more cars than I actually do. Cars like this are press cars, like the Civic and the Pacifica. I don't own these vehicles. They're loaned out to me for a week at a time, and that is it. The vehicles that I actually own are, well, first off, my 2021 Gen 3 Ford Raptor. Purchased this in like November of 21. It's got just over 7,000 miles on it. It's got the 37 Performance package, and yeah, pretty cool vehicle. Popping over here, we have my Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392. This is a 2022. This has the Extreme Recon package, so it's got 35s from the factory. Purchased this in like February of this year. It's got just over 700 miles, so yes, the Raptor has like 10 times as many miles as the Wrangler. I made a video about why that is the case recently. Anyways, we've got Old Reliable, which is my 2021 Ram TRX. It's got just over 15,000 miles on the odometer. I purchased this in February of 2021, so that means that I purchased the Jeep literally like a year right after I purchased the Ram TRX. Go Stellantis products, and shout out to Corbin for helping me order this truck originally. But yeah, obviously this truck has been a mainstay on the channel since 2021, which has been a massive amount of, I guess, growth and subscriber stuff and all that kind of stuff on the channel. And so a lot of people like happen to know about this truck, and so why would I be selling it, I guess, is what we need to get into. Now, first off, I need to clarify, the reason that I own these vehicles is for content purposes. They are content vehicles. Obviously, I am a car enthusiast, and more specifically, I'm an off-road enthusiast, and so, all these vehicles definitely fit that. And, the reason I purchased the TRX originally is because I have a huge Ram following, and this is the coolest Ram truck ever made, and so I had to purchase it, and I was lucky enough to be one of the first people to actually take delivery of a TRX, and so I was one of the first people to make content on it, which helped out the channel a massive amount. Now, the reason that I purchased the Gen 3 Ford Raptor, which we're going to walk over to, is because this is direct competition to the Ram TRX, and this is the new generation Raptor, and so everyone wanted to see what this was like compared to the TRX, and so I went out and purchased one because I knew that was the only way I'd be able to make that content, because, well, Ford's not exactly good at sending out press cars. Stellantis obviously is, because you guys can see I've got that Pacifica right behind me that they sent out to me, and they actually did send out a TRX for journalists to review in terms of like Utah's rotation, so that wouldn't have been a problem. Ford, on the other hand, doesn't like to send press cars to Utah. I don't know why. I honestly, I don't know their reasoning. And so because of that, the only way that I can review Ford's products is I either have to buy them or I have to work with dealerships. And a dealership obviously isn't going to let me off-road a Raptor, right? That just does not make sense whatsoever. So I purchased it. I've done a bunch of comparison videos with this against the TRX, and that leaves the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392. Now this one, if you guys don't know the backstory, was basically ordered by another person, not me. They backed out on their order, and so I picked it up because this is a super unique color that they are never going to produce again. It's called Tuscadero Pink, and it happens to be on the craziest version of the Wrangler. It's the 392, so it's got the big V8, and it's got the Extreme Recon, so it has the biggest tires and the craziest axle ratio you can get from the factory. And so I was like, this is a super unique vehicle, and I'm a huge off-road enthusiast, and so I'm going to purchase this and do a ton of cool off-roading with it. And so that's the reason why I've purchased all the vehicles. Now that kind of leaves the Wrangler as the quote-unquote odd man out of the bunch, because obviously the Raptor was planned and the TRX was planned from a purchase perspective and from a content perspective as well, whereas this whole purchase was not planned from a content or a purchase perspective. That being said, though, I feel like I have the most potential with the Wrangler compared to the other two trucks, and here's why. I don't have a massive Jeep following yet, but I have this belief that as I make more and more content with this, then I'm going to get a bigger and bigger Jeep following, because, yeah, even though there's not going to be a lot of people off-roading the Rubicon 392, there's a lot of people that want to see how this performs, and there's just a lot of Jeep people that want to see how the new Wrangler Rubicon in general performs, because this performs pretty similarly to a Rubicon with a V6 or a 2.0 turbo or the new 4xe. Frankly, there are some differences with this, definitely some differences. But, from a rock crawling perspective, right, they're all pretty similar. And so, again, it's kind of like a different demographic. So, like, it might not make sense to a lot of people here on the surface initially, but again, like I said, I think it'll definitely pull in a different demographic for me. Now, obviously, that does put me in a strange predicament with the Raptor and with the TRX, because if I get rid of them, that will upset quite a few people, but I feel like I'm pretty much all contented out with both of the trucks, and I guess let me just quickly explain. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I already have over 15,000 miles on the TRX, and I have over 7,000 miles on the Raptor, which obviously in the grand scheme of things isn't a crazy amount of mileage. There's a lot of people that'll drive that in a year. I mean, obviously that's what I've done with the TRX in a year, pretty much, is put over 15,000 miles on it. But the point that I'm trying to make is there's just not really anything else that I can do from a content perspective. I've shown you guys fuel economy tests on both the trucks. I've taken them both off-road. I've done on-road tests. I've raced them against each other off-road. The only thing that I haven't done with the trucks, frankly, is just an off-road drag race, which I do have a plan to do that in the future, which will be the coolest off-road drag race, because my off-road drag strip thing, whatever you want to call it, is uneven from a surface perspective. Most off-road drag races are performed on dry lake beds, which is super boring. Like, every time I watch it, I'm like, you might as well just done this on, a runway. But it's actually gonna like push the suspension of the trucks as they're racing against each other. So it'll be a fun video. But besides that, I mean, I don't know what else I can do. Like, I can continue to give you guys updates on the trucks as I own them, but they're both pretty boring from, an update perspective, because it's like, okay, well, I have another 5,000 miles on the truck. I've done, an oil change or two, and there's nothing broken on the truck. Like, both the trucks have been extremely reliable, and so it's not like I can make like super, like crazy videos where it's like, oh man, the truck is falling apart and all that kind of stuff, because that's not happening. And I guess I don't think it's going to happen. And so other than that, like, I don't really know what I can do. And I made a video talking about how I don't have more content on both the trucks like 6 months ago. And I've just continued like on since then, and still like, we're in the same place as we were before, frankly. Now, I guess something else I could do with both the trucks is modify them, but something that I've learned here on YouTube is modifications don't really do all that well from a video perspective. People just like to see how these vehicles perform in stock format, and the TRX is a great example. I have aftermarket front and rear bumpers. I've got the lights here at the top. I've got light bars in the bumpers as well, which isn't, I mean, it's very light from a modification standpoint, but still, like, the videos on these modifications haven't really done all that much. And frankly, if I just kept the truck stock, the content on it would have performed the exact same. And so, like, going and spending the money on modifications, like for example at the Raptor, you can purchase a wide body kit for the new Gen 3 where you have wider fenders in the front and in the rear, and I'm sure there's going to be long travel suspension for the Gen 3 soon, and maybe I could do even bigger tires than the 37s, which is crazy to me because 37s are already massive, and then bigger power under the hood and all that kind of stuff. Like, I can do that. I can spend the money to do that. I'm not going to get a return on my money though, because the videos will perform well, but they won't perform like amazingly well to where it would, I doubt it would even pay for the modifications, frankly, let alone make some profit on top of that. It seems like people just like to see vehicles in stock format perform at their like highest amount. Like that's pretty much what I've seen from a YouTube perspective. And so again, I don't know what I can do. And then I guess the metaphorical nail in the coffin is the fact that I'm having a baby at the end of the year. And, the Raptor and the TRX would be great family cars if they weren't so massive. Yes, they have a ton of backseat room. And yes, it is kind of like nice to like lift things up into something rather than like down into something. But I feel like an SUV is kind of like a nice happy medium because you're just going across rather than up or down when you're, putting a baby into the car seat and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, and also from a size perspective, so much more practical. Elise has been driving the Jeep since it came back a few times. And, compared to the TRX and the Raptor, she loves it so much more just because of that fact that it's easy to kind of like maneuver around places. But again, the Jeep is not exactly the most practical vehicle because it has 35s from the factory and she has to like hoist herself up to get into it. And so again, not exactly the most user-friendly. And so we are going to be getting a family car that is going to be more practical than what we have right now. Now, something that I could do is basically purchase the family car and keep the Raptor and the TRX. So just add another car to the vehicle fleet, which I can afford to do. I work hard enough that I would be able to do that from a financial perspective. I don't really want to do that. So what I've been testing out over the last few months is myself, right? how much work can I actually handle before I reach my breaking point? I know that sounds really weird for someone to do, but I'm 24 years old and I want to see where the limit is. And I found my limit. And what I realized once I found my limit is what I actually, want to do from a work perspective, and then also what, I want to do from an outside of work perspective, basically. And this is what I found out. So outside of family and friends, there's just a few things that I love doing on a daily basis. First off, I love exercising. So I go to the gym 7 days a week. I know that I don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but yeah, I love exercising. It's such an amazing experience, especially weightlifting. It's so fun. Anyways, moving on from that, I also love eating healthy. And eating healthy actually takes quite a bit of time because I have to go to the store more often because I'm buying fresh food and, preparation to cook it because I don't ever go out to eat, because even quote unquote healthy restaurants don't really serve food that is as healthy as you'd think. And so yeah, a little bit more time with that, but again, I love doing that. And then I also love making YouTube reviews, right? I love going out and reviewing cars at dealerships so I can see the new packages that are coming out and how different cars drive, and then also these manufacturer demo cars. I love that whole aspect of going out, finding the cars, reviewing them, and then putting the videos together and posting them on YouTube. Like, that whole process is really exciting for me. And so again, like I said, outside of family and friends, like, that's the stuff that I love to do, is just exercising and eating healthy and then reviewing cars. And then obviously off-roading. That's something I've mentioned a bunch on this channel, is I'm a huge off-road enthusiast at this point. And so whenever I get free time, I just love off-roading. Now, the Ram TRX and the Ford Raptor can obviously meet my need to go on off-road adventures, but here's the deal is, they aren't about the type of off-roading that I like to do. Kind of what I've discovered about myself is I like to do the low speed, just exploring stuff that you do in a Jeep Wrangler, not a Ford Raptor or a Ram TRX, because the Wrangler, frankly, being a smaller vehicle, can fit in a lot of places that a Ram TRX or a Ford Raptor cannot fit. And frankly, I've gotten all the high-speed off-roading out of my system. I have jumped so many trucks at this point that, like, it sounds crazy, but it's boring. Frankly, like I said, I've gotten it out of my system. And so I like to just go and explore new places and see, beautiful views. And that's the thing, is a lot of people don't understand why I like off-roading so much. And I think that's because the people commenting live in places that are extremely hideous from a nature perspective, whereas Utah is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. The only other place in the US that I think is more beautiful than Utah, frankly, are certain areas in California, Colorado, and then definitely Alaska. Alaska is way up there. But the point that I'm trying to make is there's so much beautiful nature here in Utah that it's just fun to go explore it. And again, I could do that in the Raptor and the TRX, but I'm very limited with where I could go. Whereas with the, something like the Wrangler, it can go anywhere because of its size and also because of its crawling capability as well. So here is the tentative plan. It's not set in stone. This is just the tentative plan. And it is to trade the Ram TRX for Elise's mommy mall crawler. Here's the deal. This is the only vehicle that I actually have an auto loan on. I know it's the oldest in the fleet, but I was still taking out auto loans on cars when I bought the TRX, and I just haven't paid it off. I paid cash for the Wrangler and I paid cash for the Raptor as well, so no auto loans there. But the TRX, I owe $20-something thousand on the truck, and I'm set to pay the truck off in about, I think, just over a year from today's date, which would then, make it so I don't have any auto loans. But here's the deal. If I trade this in on Elise's mommy mole crawler, then the taxes will be zeroed out because of Utah's tax credit system. And so I won't pay taxes on the new vehicle. And if the vehicle is less expensive than the TRX, then basically I would just pay for the vehicle with the TRX's equity. If the vehicle is as expensive as the TRX or more expensive than the TRX, then I would just come out of pocket with the difference number so that I wouldn't be taking out an auto loan on that vehicle. So then that would mean that I would have still 3 vehicles, but then be debt free. That leaves us with the Ford Raptor. And so a lot of people are going to comment, well, you're getting rid of the TRX, which is sad, but it's a responsible thing to do financially, and getting the mommy mall crawler. You'll have your fun weekend toy, which is the Jeep, and then you can keep the Raptor for truck content and all that fun stuff. And with that thought process, you are completely correct. Unless Ford offers me a Bronco Raptor allocation. If Ford for some reason does that, I will get rid of the F-150 Raptor in a heartbeat and trade it for a Ford Bronco Raptor. No questions asked whatsoever. I think that's such a cool vehicle, and I'd much rather have that than the F-150 Raptor, because again, I just prefer the smaller vehicles for off-roading situations because you can just fit in so many places. Yes, this is more comfortable on high-speed trails, but I'm not doing a whole lot of that anymore. And I think it would be fun to do a whole off-road series with the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 and a Ford Bronco Raptor as well. And again, I wouldn't add it to the fleet because I don't want to have 4 vehicles. Like, I feel like 3 is more than enough. Like, this is already really expensive. Like, this is a $94,000 truck. This is an $86,000 Jeep, and that is an $82,000 truck. Like, it's over $200,000 in vehicles, which is just absolutely crazy. And I just don't want to spend any more money on vehicles, frankly. So I know that that was a very long-winded explanation for everything, and trust me, I'll be just as sad as you guys to see the TRX go. There's a ton of fun memories with that truck, but again, that's why I make these YouTube videos, is all my memories are now documented where I can just go watch them whenever I want and reminisce in the days that I owned a Hellcat-powered truck, which is so crazy that Ram built it. Like, Ram, I really appreciate you for building that truck. It is such an awesome vehicle, but I'm also really excited for what's to come because I'm really excited for Elise's Mommy Mall Crawler. It's gonna be tons of fun to film content with that vehicle, and I'm really excited for her because she's gonna have a car that she's gonna absolutely love. And for me, it's gonna be extremely freeing because I won't have any vehicle debt. And again, I'm only 24 years old, and so not having any car payment at 24 years old is just gonna feel so cool. Like, I think I'm finally going to feel like I'm no longer in the quote-unquote rat race. Like, the average person my age has over $30,000 in debt, and they only make like $30,000 per year. And so the average person in my age is like super stressed out about everything financially. And obviously I have, you know, different things that I stress out about financially, being a business owner and everything. It's not all like sunshine and rainbows when you're running a business. If you guys own businesses, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But at the same time, you know, at that point, I'll just pretty much be finally, you know, in my opinion, working for me rather than, you know, working to like keep up with everyone from a YouTube perspective, because that's what I've been doing over the last few years. Is it's like, okay, I'm going to try to buy crazier and crazier vehicles so that I have crazier content to film compared to the other YouTubers. But at this point, it's like, cool, I've done all this stuff. I've seen, you know, what it looks like from a financial perspective for what it does for me. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's not really worth it anymore. And so it's like, I'm just gonna, you know, buy vehicles that I enjoy. I'm gonna enjoy them. I'm gonna enjoy the fact that I won't have any debt, and I'm just gonna basically do what I want to do and work when I want to work. And it's not like I'm not gonna continue to pump out videos like crazy, because again, I love making these videos, but at the same time, I'm gonna be pumping out videos like crazy because I want to and not because I have to. And I had that feeling like I have to do it because I was like, okay, we're gonna add a 4th vehicle to the fleet. This is gonna be expensive. But now it's like, who cares? So yeah, hopefully that explains everything properly. I'll see you guys.